I've been filming on Sony cameras for a couple of years now, and it was only until this year that I realized that I don't actually need to be using Sony lenses to maintain that quality that the Sony lenses do provide to you. What's even more impressive is you don't have to spend as much money with these alternative lenses because, let's be honest, Sony lenses are ridiculously expensive. Let me tell you how I came to the realization that I don't actually need to be using Sony lenses to maintain that quality. I realized that at the beginning of the year when I had a commercial shoot and I wanted to rent out Sony lenses from the rental house, but they didn't have the lenses available on the day of the shoot. So as an alternative, they gave me Sigma Art primes. And I was so impressed that I thought to myself, this would make for a really cool YouTube video just to show you guys that the visual quality of lens alternatives matches up with Sony as far as I'm concerned. And what's a bonus is they are just so much cheaper. So I did reach out to Sigma. I asked them if I could borrow some lenses to make this YouTube episode, but they haven't given me a script. I didn't even get a t-shirt. This is not sponsored. These are my honest opinions on these lenses, and there's a lot to get through. I don't like fluff, so let's get to it. Sigma Art lenses are great, but they are by no means perfect. And throughout this episode, I'm going to be playing you footage where I use these lenses from the various projects so that you can make up your own mind and decide for yourself if they match the visual quality to that of Sony lenses. For me, with my relatively well-trained I can't even tell the difference. Perhaps if you're a lens scientist, you may have a different opinion, if that even exists. So let's just get that out of the way before we continue any further. And as you can see, you are seeing the footage now. You decide for yourself. All of these projects were filmed on the Sony a7S III and the Kodak XAVC-I and the S-Log 3. And all the final projects were graded with my goat light. Slight plug there, sorry. I got 3 lenses from Sigma, the 35mm, the 50mm, and one other lens which has now become my favorite lens of all time. Try and guess for yourself what field of view that is when you're looking at the footage.
Money, the pressure be calling, left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling to birth.
So why Sigma Art lenses? Yes, they are more cost effective, and that alone makes them very well worth looking into. As far as I'm concerned, if you don't have to sell your car to get any piece of gear, that makes them very worthwhile. But what really stood out to me once I got my hands on them is they have a really decent heft to them. Their build quality is super professional and it doesn't feel plastic and cheap. You'll be proud to own them and you'll enjoy taking them onto set. And as geeky as it sounds, you know, that's super important. You must love your gear. You must have a connection with them. You must be proud of them and they must make you feel like a filmmaker. But the true magic came in was when I started reviewing the footage and I could just see why people rated these lenses so highly.
Boom, boom, boom. Baby, I'm trying to get paid.
I've covered this before on another episode, so I'm not going to blabber on too much here. Prime lenses are generally sharper, especially wide open, because prime lenses have less elements of glass within the lens. You're often getting f1.2, 1.4, 1.8 when it comes to prime lenses. And when it comes to zooms, you're often getting capped at 2.8. So that's a big deal for depth and filming in low light situations. Prime lenses give you better fall off and subject separation from the background. With prime lenses, if you want to change your composition, you have to use your feet. It makes you more intentional about your shots and makes you think about your shots, and usually the work ends up looking better. So let's talk about the 3 primes that I used for these various projects, starting off with the 2 workhorses from this lens set. The 35mm is probably one of the most popular lenses in filmmaking. It feels natural, and that's because it's very close to how our human eyes see the world. So your shots have a grounded, very familiar vibe to them. It's also not too tight of a lens so that you can't feel the environment that your subject is within, but also not too wide that things start to feel distorted or distant. It's just a very reliable focal length, and if I was in a position where I could only use one lens for the whole day of shooting, I would probably choose a 35mm. Now the 50mm, a little bit tighter, and it's all about intimacy. I really enjoy the 50mm, especially for performance scenes where I want to give the viewer detail. It doesn't just isolate your subject, but it really pulls you into the moment. And the lens compression that the 50mm provides to you just takes it one step further than the 35mm. That compression effect essentially brings the background in closer to your subject, and when you pair that with movement, say you're on a gimbal, it just creates even more movement. It exaggerates that movement in a really interesting way. It's just a beautiful lens. Now let's talk about the lens that completely caught me off guard, the 20mm 1.4. This lens is wild in the very best way. It's wide enough without going overboard. That extra wideness just gives your frame a whole new energy. Everything just feels bigger and more immersive. You can get super close to your subject and still take in their environment around them. But the real magic of this lens is its minimum focus distance, meaning you can get in really close to your subject, like super close, and it still maintains focus. And then lastly, this lens gives you beautiful separation, especially for a wide lens, 20mm, but it goes down to f1.4, so there's still separation even on a wide shot. This is a crazy lens, super fun, and if you're looking for a creative edge when it comes to wide shots, then this is the lens for you. So let's just do a quick rundown of the pros of these Sigma Art lenses, and then I'm going to talk about the 2 cons that I have, and they could be deal breakers for you. Number 1, for the lenses that I used, they were sharp across all those focal lengths. 2, they're solid and professional. Their build quality is just beautiful. Next, they're a cost-effective alternative to Sony lenses whilst still maintaining that visual optic quality. Now let's talk about the cons. Autofocus. We got to talk about it. It's something that a lot of us rely on. And it's pretty well known that Sony lenses, when paired with Sony cameras, are incredibly snappy, sharp, and reliable. And I have to say it, Sigma Art lenses are just not as sticky. I found that I had a few focus sort of hunting problems. More often than not, it locks onto focus just fine. Perhaps a little bit slow in places, depending on your lighting conditions and your environment, but it's not a deal breaker for me. I can live with it. And then my second and last con is that they are quite a bit heavier than Sony lenses. Check this out. I've got the 35mm right here. I'm going to put it up against my face just so you can see how large this thing is. Now I'm putting it up against my face as a comparison because I've got a long face. So the reason why I'm mentioning this as a con is because if you film on a gimbal and you like using a 35mm like I do, just know that your arms are going to get tired pretty quickly. So you may have to get a few more reps in at the gym if you want to be able to use these lenses for a long period of time on your gimbal. I'm talking specifically here about the 35mm because this lens is the largest out of the 3 lenses that I had. So those 2 cons are honestly not deal breakers for me. I love these lenses and I will continue to rent them and perhaps buy them one day. I hope this episode was helpful to you guys. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. That really helps me in telling the YouTube algorithm that my videos aren't so easy, and they will push this video out. So that in turn will allow me to make more videos like this. If you didn't enjoy this video, it's cool. You can just bounce. Till next time. Cheers, guys.